My name is Richard Peter. I started CompoCloset coming up to 3 years ago with my co-founder Erica, and we started off trying to solve a problem of better environmental toilets for campervans. In my previous life, I worked in a bank writing the software to automatically trade government bonds. So it's quite a big shift from bonds to Bogs. I'd been in it for nearly 15 years and I could feel like I was just taking a bit of time out. Then COVID happened and I went, let's do it anyway, take the time out. It was my girlfriend's idea to put a composting toilet in our van. With COVID happening and me taking time out, we couldn't travel, so we said, well, let's convert a van and at least we can drive home. And getting a van was a bit of a challenge, but we put a composting toilet in our van and I was like, this is so cool. We can stay off grid for ages, and loved the concept, thought the product could be better. And I spent a few months traveling around Europe, sketching toilets, trying to come up with a better one and trying to work out what I'd do differently. And then I was like, actually, this could work. I bet other people would want this. The size was one. I had to redesign my van around the toilet that I installed because it was quite big. I wanted it to look nicer and I wanted it to be easier to empty. No one likes emptying a toilet. Make it as painless as possible. There were certain things like knowing when the urine tank's full that are such a simple solution. Why not put it in a standard? Put in light and tell me when it's full. Specific pain points, urine bottle overflowing was a real pain. Stinks to high heaven, really not very fun to clean up stale urine. Another one was emptying. You generally have to disassemble the units. And I was like, this is a two-person job that's quite backbreaking because they're heavy when they're full. That was a big one. So I wanted a removable solids bin with an agitator because I was sold on the agitator. And lastly, like making it easy to clean, not having nooks and crannies and crevices for shit and piss to get stuck in. Basically just trying to make it easier to use. I was sketching ideas. I really wanted a big drop zone to start with, maximizing the separation of solids and liquids, not having to look at the solids. Those were key parts of the design. And one thing that we kind of made a decision on very early on was whether to have a portable unit or a fixed unit. Because in a camper van, they're kind of fixed in the sense that they're in a certain space, but then they slide out or you pull them out. And it's not portable as such because it needs 12 volts, but it is portable because it has to move in and out of its storage space. So that was one of our first calls. Do we make a fixed unit or a portable unit? And we went with portable because for the aftermarket scene, the people that we wanted to help build their own vans and go and do this, pretty much do it themselves, and it makes it easier if it's a portable unit. My favorite thing about Cuddy is the smile. And it was almost an accident. We were working with the designer. And initially the handle was vertical in some really early designs because I thought it looked cool. And eventually we realized to have a bigger handle, it had to be horizontal. And I said, oh, okay, but it's gonna need a little pocket so you can get your finger and thumb into it. And I was thinking like a small little ring around the center. And when he did a design, he hadn't done what I asked him and he said, oh, how does this look? I've just done half of it to see if the curvature's right. And I went, stop, perfect. Don't put one on top. I love it. And now, yeah, when I spent many long days sitting there with the prototype on my desk and it's there smiling at me, then we got the eyes and we were away. It was good. So my smile is my favorite thing. The other thing I really like is the extending agitator. Stowing it away saves so much space. It's really handy. One of the hard things about the design was, where do you put the agitator? If you fix it to the sides, you're immediately trapped in that I've got to disassemble the whole toilet because the agitator is in the base, and you will always have to, you've got to put something in an axle. You've got to support both ends of an axle to drive it. So if you put it on the side and you want a removable solids bin, you're losing a lot of space. And if you don't have a removable solids bin, you've got to disassemble your toilet. That was the first realization. Now, the bottle was the one, also if you have space at the sides, which side do you have it? You've then got to have two models or two variations and stuff like that. You can't put it at the back because you want to save that space. And we realized that the front was the place you always had to have access because you always sit on a toilet and your legs go there. So working through the agitator, we had a few iterations of that. But when we realized that it had to go to the front and you get that benefit of being able to support the axle with the body without compromising the size of the solids bin, that was it. And from the outset, we were trying to make everything as big as possible. I do not want to empty my toilet. That was one of the goals as well, was trying to maximize that capacity, sailing as close to the wind as you possibly could on every inch of space inside the unit. When we started designing Cuddy, we were designing it for campervans and maybe tiny homes. But since getting into sanitation, my eyes have been opened to the crisis that's actually going on in the world. Sustainable Development Goal 6 is something that I've since learned about, and that is water and sanitation for all. And there are billions of people without a safe toilet. 2 billion people at my last reckoning. My last count was, I think the last count was about 2 billion people don't have a safe toilet. That's staggering. It's normally women and children and the marginalized, and the implications of that are staggering. Millions of deaths a year from very preventable diseases such as diarrhea, dysentery. It's terrible. That's the human life side of things, but there's also the environmental side of things. Like, urine contains 80% of the nitrogen that a wastewater treatment plant has to treat, but it's only 1% of the volume. And we all consider the flush toilet to be a gold standard. In reality, 56% of Europe is actually connected to a wastewater treatment plant that can treat that nitrogen. The other 46, it gets flushed into a river, pollutes waterways, and this is what everybody else is aiming for, and I don't believe it's the right thing. Tying that together, there's even the agricultural side. Our current farming practice is incredibly non-circular and very linear. We burn fossil fuels to make nitrogen, we smash potassium out of the ground, ship it around the world, put it on a field, eat it, and piss it into the river, and that's it. That's not sustainable either. And I love a problem, and that's what gets me out of bed every morning going, okay, how do I put all those problems together and try and solve them? And it's fucking cool. Honestly, I skip down the stairs because I work from home, try not to trip, and you're kind of like, okay, yeah, it's kind of one of the cool things about being a founder. Like, I'm actually trying to change the world, change it for the better. It's cool. I didn't realize how hard it was going to be to make a physical product. We did it through an Indiegogo, and honestly, the past year have taught me that getting this to market in the time that we got it to market was incredibly lucky. We're continuing to launch new products to try and answer what our customers need, and we've just launched Cuddy Light. That's a simpler, more affordable unit than the Cuddy, but we've kept all the best features. And I'm still determined not to deal with my crap, so I'm looking at technologies and designing a product so that it's pathogen-free and requires as little maintenance as possible. That's my goal. I don't want to deal with my crap. We're still looking at the RV market, but we're looking also at tiny homes and portaloos, because the RV market, one of the biggest challenges around composting toilets is the regulation. It's very difficult to interpret the law in America, which is our primary market. Every state has its own law. In Europe, it's very difficult between Europe and now the UK. So actually the regulation around building codes is very difficult. So we're going to probably stick towards RVs, and if you want to put it in your house, it'll be perfect, but it's very expensive for me to put it in a house. The other option is trying to look at a bigger scale and really go for like the big problem of portaloos. Could we make a better camping festival toilet? Could we make a better festival toilet? It'd be really cool. I think we can. It can't be very hard because they're not very nice. So that's what we're trying to look at next. Stressful is probably the first one. I think I worked like 40 or 50 hour weeks and now I work 80. Great career move. Poor life choices right there. But also really rewarding. You know, like I said, I skip downstairs in the morning and I'm like, right, let's go change the world again. One of the things that I've realized is that building something new is a project, and then building a company and running that company is a hell of a lot of work. Legal stuff, cash flow stuff, accounting stuff, tax stuff, tax. Those are the things that actually take up a lot of your time. And I keep wanting to tinker with new products and new enhancements and always end up with another burning priority. But it's been a lot of fun. I've been really grateful to have Erica doing all the marketing, and she's been teaching me stuff and holding my hand through all that process of like trying to get up to speed. Yeah, I'd definitely do it again. I'd probably do it exactly the same and fuck it up in exactly the same ways, but yeah, I'd do it again, it's fun. There's a lot of help out there for founders. There's a load of courses and seminars, and within London startup scene, there's actually a lot of people looking to help, and other founders are really, really helpful, pointing you in the right direction. We've been lucky in that the Department for Business and Trade have helped us with expanding internationally. But I also go out of my way to learn as much as I can. I'll often, if it's a lunchtime and I'm like, okay, I'll put on YouTube and go, okay, right, how not to fuck up your startup, how not to mess up your startup today. I'm often doing that over my lunchtimes, trying to learn something new every day. Having a co-founder, I'd say, is super important. There are days where you just got kicked in the teeth and you just need somebody to either vent at or prop you up. I don't know how solo founders do it. It's a tough one. So yeah, thanks, Erica. I did not realize what making content even was. I didn't know what creators were when I first started this business. I didn't know how the internet worked and how YouTube worked. Making content has been fundamental for our business. Every product has to be explained in multiple different ways. Every feature has to be explained in different ways. Everything has to be photographed from 10 angles and you still miss 3 of them. So that's been invaluable. How-to videos are really, really useful. Yeah, I couldn't, but we're shooting at Dream Factory at the moment, and it's been really convenient. It's geared for startups. You book it short term, get it filmed, get your footage back and get it out there as quickly as possible. We did it backwards. We designed the product and then did a crowdfunding, and the stressful thing about that, it's both the right way to do it and the wrong way. You put a product out there and say, do you want to help me? Would you be willing to buy this? If they say no, you haven't wasted any time, only a few grand running an Indiegogo campaign. If they say yes, you've just sold a load of product that you don't have and you're stressed and against the wall trying to make it as fast as possible. The cool thing about that was that it proved the demand and the potential of the product. And once we had that, we could go to investors and say, hey, this needs to exist, back us, let's get it made. And so we did a small equity raise. I say small, I mean, like raising 25 grand or 25 million, it's a hard sell. Convincing investors is very hard, and there's nothing fun in fundraising. It is the worst name in the world. We raised about £250,000 to help fund the molds and the inventory and the tooling to get Cuddy made. And I'm super grateful to all our investors, lots of them friends and family and friends of friends and angels. So somehow we managed to pull it together, but it was tough, way tougher than I thought. Trying to design, develop your product and then scrounge together the cash to go and actually make it is really hard. There are people that are very fortunate and they just try and fundraise as a full-time job. Unfortunately, we were a team of 2. We had a lot of stuff to do. Underestimating how hard everything would be, definitely. Like, raising capital was hard, running the Indiegogo campaign was hard, raising capital was hard, finalizing the design of the product was hard, getting that product to market in a timely manner is really hard. Suppliers and supply chains, it's just been hard the whole step of the way. Marketing is hard. I haven't been doing that bit, but it's hard as well. People think that your phone's listening in on everything you're saying. I wish it was the case because it'd make my marketing budget a lot smaller. It's not, it's just a fluke. Yeah, it's been tough every step of the way. I'd still do it again, but I'd probably like just double. Actually, I keep saying I'd double all the timelines, but I'm just so impatient. I'm like, I want it done now. Work harder. You don't need to sleep. I think so. I don't think AI is going to take my job because I'd do it anyway. So yeah, maybe it'll make my life easier, but I think I do enjoy hard work. I'm a bit of a workaholic. My girlfriend will tell you that, and my business partner. So yeah, but maybe I'm a sucker for punishment. So yeah, that's been my backstory. Thanks for listening. Hope it's been interesting. And if you've got any questions about CompoCloset or starting a business, drop us a line. Cheers, Compo Crew.